Our swallows are back. They come back every year. They don't like when I get super close to them because that nest is where they have their babies. Let's see if they'll let me get close. The barn swallows aren't in their nest now, but they've returned from their migration and they come back to the same nest every single year. And if the nest needs any repairs, they repair their nest. They make it out of mud and feathers and grass, and soon they'll lay eggs in there. Those crazy swallows in my backyard made me think of this book. A nest is noisy. Check out all those nests. Birds are not the only ones who make nests and live in them. Look who else does. A nest is noisy. A nest is noisy. It is a nursery of chirping. Chirp, chirping. Buzzing, squeaking, peeping, and bubbling babies. A nest is welcoming. Many birds use all kinds of stuff to cradle their eggs, like snakeskin and even candy wrappers, and then all the other stuff that we've talked about too, like twigs and grass and feathers. A nest is enormous, or it's tiny. We know the tiny one is our little hummingbird friend, which is about only 4 inches long, and this one is 36 feet, which is a lot of Mrs. Allen's. That's a lot. A nest is spiky. The elf owls and the cactus wrens, they like to live in cactuses so their prey, the snakes, can't get them. A nest is papery, and we know about the paper wasps and the hornets and the yellow jackets and how they chew up the wood to make the paper that they make their nest out of. A nest is pebbly, and these guys, they're kind of eel-like, and they use their suction cup mouths to move around. This is where they lay their eggs. A nest is even bubbly. Ooh, the African gray tree frogs make foamy nests with overhanging water. No, in overhanging water. It's kind of like a meringue. And these guys, they blow bubbles that pack together to form a nest that floats like a raft. That's pretty cool. A nest is hot. These are the oven birds, and they put together clay and it bakes in the sun. It makes it for a cozy place for their babies. And the alligator, he piles on top of decaying plants and mud to create a mat. And did you know that the temperature of the alligator's nest determines if it's a boy or a girl alligator when it hatches? I thought that was pretty cool. A nest is hidden. And this sea turtle, he digs a hole in the sand and he leaves his eggs there. And then he covers them back up and hides them. This is a platypus nest. And it's one of the only 2 mammals that lay eggs in hollowed out tunnels or burrows. So with her tail, the female carries moist plant matter deep into the tunnel to make a nest and lays soft-shelled eggs the size of marbles. She adds plugs of soil to the tunnel to protect the eggs from the rising water. Those are cute little platypuses. A nest is neighborly, and all of these birds, they live in colonies, and it helps them be protected from predators. If one bird sees a predator, they might make a really loud noise so the others will know that they're there. And some other little guys that live in a colony are prairie dogs. And they kind of make little labyrinth, little mazes underneath the ground. And they bark to warn their neighbors when there's danger. A nest is particular. And these are all ants. And they actually cling to one another's legs, and they form a ball of millions of ants suspended from a branch from a chain or more of ants. Inside are chambers for the queen and a brood of eggs, newly hatched larvae, and food. That looks kind of scary. And these guys make their nest completely of saliva. That's a lot of saliva. So basically the male spits, he goes like this with his head and spits out all the saliva, and they cling onto the wall of the cave and they harden. That's pretty interesting. A nest is muddy. You see the flamingos, they are sitting on mud nests. And the mud, the reason they build it up like that is to protect it from the water that rises. A nest is adopted. Some things, like this bird, he uses other birds' nests. And so when they're done with it, or maybe when they're not done with it, he swoops in and he lays his eggs. So sometimes nests are adopted. A nest is noisy, buzzing, swishing, rustling, flapping, and humming with babies, but only until they're ready to fly, swim, or crawl away. And then a nest is quiet. Check out all these guys that have nests.